Welcome back to Talk Tickers, the show where we try to make sense of these earnings calls, get to the stuff that really matters.
Absolutely.
And today we are diving deep into Globus Medical's Q3 2024 earnings call.
Fresh off the press.
Yeah, just dropped November 5th.
Piping hot.
Now, you probably know Globus Medical. They're a pretty big name when it comes to musculoskeletal device.
Is a player for sure.
But what makes this deep dive a little more interesting, is that we're 1 year out from their merger.
Huge merger.
With Nuvasive.
Yeah, landmark deal, really shook up the spine industry.
Exactly. So we're going to be really dissecting this transcript.
Got the stock info too.
Trying to see, are they hitting those targets? What does their growth strategy look like now? And maybe get a sneak peek at some of the cool new tech they're launching.
On it stuff.
And as always, we'll wrap it up with our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Gotta have a little fun.
Where we just throw out a wild trade idea,
Outrageous, but plausible.
Exactly.
To get those wheels turning.
All right. So let's start with the big question, right? How is this merger actually going? 1 year later, this is their fourth combined earnings call since they joined forces with Nuvasive back in September 2023.
Yeah, and seamless integrations, those are pretty rare, especially with a merger this size.
Right.
It's like trying to put together two giant jigsaw puzzles, but the pieces keep moving.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So what are the signs, right? What are we seeing? Is this puzzle coming together? Is it falling apart?
Well, the CEO, Dan Skovilla, he's pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
He actually went as far as to call it, quote, the most successful spine merger in history, end quote.
Wow. That's a bold claim.
It is.
So is that hype, or is there something to it?
I mean, to some extent, yeah. I mean, they've had sales growth, strong financial performance for 4 straight quarters now since the merger.
That's fair.
But even the CEO admits there's still a lot of work to be done.
Okay, intriguing.
A lot of moving pieces.
So let's unpack the numbers then. I mean, Globus, they reported 63.1% revenue growth in Q3, with sales hitting $625.7 million.
Big numbers.
Big numbers, right?
At first glance, yeah, impressive. But you got to remember that includes Nuvasive's results, which, weren't there last year.
Right. Yeah.
So to get a clearer picture, you got to look at the organic growth and the pro forma numbers, which basically means pretending like Nuvasive was always part of Globus.
Okay, so what story do those numbers tell then?
Well, the organic growth, which takes out the impact of the merger, it sits at a healthy 5.4%, which is, still good, but it paints a more realistic picture of how Globus is actually doing on its own.
Right, without the
apart from the acquisition. Yeah,
acquisition. Yeah. Okay.
And that's important because understanding how to read past these flashy headlines, that's key for making smart investment decisions.
Absolutely. Gotta look beyond the surface.
Peel back those layers.
Now, let's kind of break down the performance geographically a bit.
Sure.
The earnings call highlighted, strong growth both in their U.S. and international spine businesses.
Yeah, both firing on all cylinders.
But
the international growth, that's particularly interesting. We're talking 86% jump on a constant currency basis.
Wow, that's huge.
That's not something you see every day, especially in a mature market like spine surgery.
Yeah, for sure. And the CEO even mentioned they haven't even fully leveraged the combined product portfolio internationally yet.
Right, still room to grow.
So what does that tell us about their future growth potential then?
Well, it suggests there's a pretty significant runway for expansion. They could introduce new products into existing markets, maybe even enter some new markets altogether.
Makes sense.
And this actually aligns with broader industry trends too. Spine surgery is becoming more and more common globally. Aging populations, rising healthcare spending, all that stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, they're well positioned.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk tech.
My favorite part.
Let's delve into Globus's enabling technologies segment.
This is the cool stuff.
This isn't just about implants. It's about all the gadgets, the systems that help surgeons do their jobs better.
Right, exactly. It's like they're building an ecosystem of tools to support surgeons throughout the entire surgical process.
It's like a high-tech toolkit for the operating room of the future.
That's a great way to put it.
And they called out some specific products and their roles in this strategy. For instance, the Excelsius GPS robotic system, that's already a star performer.
Oh, yeah, workhorse.
And now they're trying to get it into the hands of surgeons who were previously using Nuvasive systems.
Expanding that user base.
Smart move.
Absolutely.
They also just launched the Excelsius Hub navigation system this quarter, specifically targeting the freehand navigation market.
Now, for those who don't know, freehand navigation is a technique where surgeons use imaging and software to guide instruments during surgery, but without the assistance of a robotic arm.
Okay.
It's a massive market, and Globus is clearly aiming to grab a big chunk of it.
Makes sense. And it doesn't stop there, right?
Yeah.
They've also got the DuraPro and Verzera power tool systems. Those were launched earlier this year.
Keeping busy, lots of new products coming out.
Yeah, it seems like they're launching new stuff at an impressive pace.
They are.
And all of this really points to Globus creating this complete ecosystem, right? It's not just about selling individual products anymore. It's about providing a comprehensive solution. And that's a key differentiator for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. This one-stop shop approach is becoming really popular in the medical device industry. It helps them build stronger relationships with hospitals and surgeons, which can lead to more sales, bigger market share, all that good stuff.
Right.
It's a win-win.
But before we get too carried away
Yep.
With all this excitement about the new tech, there's one more thing we got to talk about.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
The FDA warning letter that Globus received regarding their robotic system.
Definitely something investors should be aware of.
For sure. Now, it's important to clarify, right, that this warning, it's not about the safety or the effectiveness of the robot itself.
Right. Not about the robot's performance.
It's about their internal processes for handling complaints.
The paperwork.
Yeah, the paperwork, essentially.
Basically, the FDA is saying, hey, Globus, you got to be even more careful about how you investigate and document issues related to the robotic system. Exactly. More comprehensive procedures, better record keeping, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, the CEO did say the impact on sales hasn't been significant.
So far, so good, apparently.
But should investors be concerned? What are the risks going forward?
That's a great question. I mean, while the CEO statement is reassuring, you gotta think about the potential for future consequences. The FDA could require them to make some costly changes to their procedures, which could impact their profitability.
Right. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Monitor the situation closely.
Speaking of financial performance, let's shift our attention back to the numbers.
Right.
Globus reported strong cash flow performance this quarter, $161.7 million in free cash flow, which is almost as much as their entire free cash flow for 2023.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Seems to be driven, at least in part, by cost synergies from the merger. They've actually increased their year one cost synergy target from 40% to 55%. That suggests they're executing pretty well on our integration plan, right?
Yeah, finding ways to optimize, streamline operations.
Okay, and they also raised their 2024 guidance again.
Another sign of confidence.
Yeah, which could be a good sign, right? But the market's reaction, it really depends on whether this guidance meets or exceeds expectations, right?
Expectations are everything in the market.
It's all about managing those expectations.
For sure.
So this leads to a really important question for our listeners. What should you be watching for in future earnings calls?
Great question. Well, for starters, keep an eye on those organic growth numbers. See if Globus can, keep up the good work independent of the Nuvasive acquisition.
Right. What else?
Definitely pay attention to any updates on the international expansion and how their enabling technology segment is performing. Those are key growth areas for the company.
For sure. And of course, any developments related to the FDA warning letter and how they're addressing that. Yeah. Can't forget about that.
All right. Now let's move on to the fun part of the show.
The main event.
Our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Where we let our imaginations run wild.
Exactly. So picture this, Globus. They're making a big bet on robotic-assisted knee surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they didn't stop there?
Go on.
Imagine them partnering with like a major fitness tracker company.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
And they create these personalized rehab programs that use real-time data from the fitness trackers.
So instead of like a one-size-fits-all rehab plan, you get something tailored to your progress, your activity levels, all tracked through the device.
Exactly. And it can be a huge selling point for patients and surgeons, right? Imagine the marketing, Recover faster, smarter with Globus and insert fitness tracker brand here.
Catchy.
Yeah.
It would definitely set them apart in the orthopedic market. You're essentially creating a closed loop system from surgery to recovery, all powered by data.
Data is king these days, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not totally out there. I mean, we're already seeing this kind of tech integration in other areas of healthcare.
Oh, yeah. Remote patient monitoring, personalized medicine. It's all trending in this direction.
Right. This could be Globus's way of jumping ahead of the curve.
Smart move.
And imagine the potential for data collection and analysis. I mean, they could gather all sorts of valuable insights into recovery patterns, optimize rehab protocols, maybe even develop predictive models for patient outcomes.
Now you're thinking like a true innovator.
Ha ha ha. Well,
and very impressive.
Of course there would be hurdles, right?
Of course, yeah.
Data privacy concerns, regulatory approvals, not to mention the complexity of actually integrating all these systems.
It's a call order?
But where there's a will and a potential profit.
Usually a way.
There's usually a way, right?
Maybe.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. This is all just speculation,
It's just a fun thought experiment. Don't go running out to buy Globus stock based on our imaginary partnership.
Definitely not financial advice, folks.
But it is fun to think about the possibilities.
It does make you think, the future of healthcare, it really is all about these personalized, data-driven solutions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Globus, they seem to be positioning themselves at the forefront of that wave.
Yeah, they're definitely ones to watch.
All right, so to wrap up our deep dive into Globus Medical, I think the key takeaway here is they're a company in motion.
Always moving.
They're executing on this major merger. They're pushing technological boundaries and navigating a pretty complex regulatory landscape.
That's a lot.
It is, and that makes them a fascinating company to watch, whether you're an investor, a healthcare professional, or just someone who's interested in the future of medicine.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on them. They're likely to keep making headlines.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of part 1 of our deep dive into Globus Medical's Q3 2024 earnings call.
Phew, we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Hopefully you found this analysis insightful and, dare I say, entertaining.
Dare you.
Ew.
But as always, we encourage you to do your own research, dig into the details, and form your own conclusions.
The world of finance is full of opportunities, but it's up to each individual to navigate those opportunities wisely.
And remember, stay informed, stay curious, and keep challenging those assumptions.
Until next time, happy investing, everyone.
We'll catch you on the next Talk Tickers Deep Dive.
See you then. It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, let's shift gears a bit. Have some fun with our "This is not financial advice" segment.
Yes, the part of the show where we throw caution to the wind.
A little bit.
And dream up an outrageous yet somehow plausible trade idea.
Inspired by what we've learned today, of course.
Of course. And remember, folks.
Yeah.
This is purely hypothetical for entertainment purposes only.
Do not
base
your investment decisions on our wild speculations.
Please.
Uh-huh.
All right. So
we talked about Globus pushing into robotic assisted knee surgery.
Yeah.
Okay? What if they didn't just stop there?
Okay.
Imagine them partnering with, say, a major fitness tracker company.
Like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch situation.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And they create these personalized rehab programs, right? Using real-time data from the fitness tracker.
So instead of like a generic one-size-fits-all rehab plan,
right,
you get something tailored to your specific needs, your progress, your activity levels, all tracked through the device.
Exactly. And it could be a huge selling point, right?
For sure.
For patients, for surgeons. Imagine the marketing.
Yeah.
Recover faster and smarter with Globus and, blank fitness tracker company.
Right. I like it.
It would set them apart in the orthopedic market. It's like you're creating a closed loop system.
From surgery to recovery, all powered by data.
Data is king these days,
It is king.
It's all about the data.
And it's not totally out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're already seeing this kind of tech integration in other areas of healthcare.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Remote patient monitoring, personalized medicine, all that.
All trending in this direction.
Yeah.
This could be Globus's way to kind of jump ahead of the curve.
Leapfrog the competition.
And imagine the potential for data collection and analysis, right? They could gather all these insights into recovery patterns, optimize rehab protocols, maybe even develop predictive models for patient outcomes.
Then you're talking, that's some next level stuff.
Right.
Very impressive.
Of course, there would be hurdles, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Data privacy concerns, regulatory approvals, not to mention the complexity of integrating these systems.
Yeah, it's a lot to figure out.
But where there's a will
and a profit to be made,
there's usually a way, right?
You know what they say, where there's a will, there's a way, especially when there's money involved.
Exactly.
But let's come back down to earth for a second.
All right.
This is all speculation.
It's a fun thought experiment.
Don't go running out to buy Globus stock based on this imaginary partnership.
Definitely not financial advice.
But it is interesting to think about, what the future might hold.
It does make you think.
It does.
And the future of healthcare, it really is all about these personalized, data-driven solutions, right?
It is. It's all about tailoring treatment to the individual.
And Globus, they seem to be positioning themselves at the forefront of that wave, that trend.
They are. They're definitely a company to keep an eye on.
For sure. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. But that's a wrap for today's deep dive into Globus Medical's Q3 2024 earnings call. Yeah,
we covered a lot.
We did. We covered a lot of ground from merger integration to cutting edge tech to, some pretty wild speculation about the future of rehab.
Hopefully you walked away feeling more informed.
A little bit smarter.
Maybe even a little inspired. Who knows?
Yeah, and as always, we remind you that this is not financial advice.
Never is, never will be.
Just two passionate analysts sharing our insights and hopefully, sparking some interesting conversation.
Getting those brain juices flowing.
So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Talk Tickers.
Hit that subscribe button
so you don't miss our next deep dive.
We've got some great stuff coming out.
We do. And feel free to leave us a review. Let us know what you think. We always appreciate the feedback.
Always love hearing from our listeners.
Until next time, happy investing, everyone.
Happy investing.
And we'll catch you on the next Talk Tickers.
See you then.